Hey, friend. Welcome to eDiscover-Tea, from critique to change, sharing stories and expanding possibilities for the future of work in e-discovery, a podcast that brews up positivity and progress. I'm Becky, and along with my co-conspirators, Renee and Jill, we're here to pour out practical advice and inspiring conversations that illuminate what's really happening out in e-discovery land. In each episode, we'll uncover the truths and realities of e-discovery, shining a light on what's working, what needs improvement, and how we can drive meaningful change from the grassroots level. Our goal is to inform, uplift, and empower you with insights and strategies. Together, we can create a movement towards a more innovative, compassionate, and effective legal landscape. So grab your favorite cup, sit back, and let's infuse your day with positive energy and actionable wisdom. This is eDiscover-Tea. Hi.
Hey.
Well,
very
welcome.
festive today.
We are looking festive. Well, I'm festive for the playoffs, but also it's winter solstice. And, clearly Renee's here for Christmas and Jill's popping off some Hanukkah colors. So I feel like we've got like the gamut. We've got everything from
Football.
pagan football, like
pagan holidays, Christian holidays, Jewish holidays, all the holidays.
Yes. Yes.
Represent.
Mm-hmm. So welcome back to eDiscover-Tea. We took a bit of a hiatus, doing some other things, working on some stuff. And quite frankly, the last couple of episodes we recorded were, they were a little bit like heavy. And, we needed time to process and sort of like do some rehealing of our scratched wounds, if you will. And, we're not going to apologize for that because that's actually what was needed. And we like to go in the flow with what we need. We listen to our bodies. We feel that in our spirit, and we took a pause. And so now we're back. I'm feeling better, and I hope you guys are too. I think today we're actually going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to start off sharing a dear friend that we got, and then we're going to kind of have a little bit of a conversation about our healing journey. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Jill, to get us kicked off.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Becky. I just want to say too, I recently posted something on LinkedIn that was like a dear friend, like a bit of a dear friend letter that we had received, and kind of letting people know that we had been on hiatus. And, one of the things that dear friend letter said was that us speaking on these topics is healing for people listening. And I really appreciate that. And I think that is part of what we're trying to accomplish here, not necessarily like by providing healing, but just allowing people to feel like their experience is shared, that they are, that through like expressing the things that people go through, it gives people like a opportunity to like take a breath and be like, okay, it's not just me, like someone can speak to this, and that's really important. And on the other side of that is like emotional labor for us, right? That is not something that, as healing as it is for people to listen to and as cathartic as it is for people to listen to, like we are doing the heavy lifting of engaging in these topics that people do not want to talk about. So we are going to need to take breaks. We don't have, I think, a certain idea in mind of how long this is going to go. It's going to go as long as we feel it's relevant and we want to continue doing it. And that's going to include periods of time where we need to step away, because it is hard to keep a positive attitude when you're like putting a spotlight on kind of the really nasty things that can happen in the industry and what people have to go through. So I thought our first episode back would be great for us to talk about our healing journey, because I think a lot of people are in some form of distress. Maybe they don't recognize it as such, but there's rampant burnout. And with burnout comes emotional stress, emotional difficulties, physical illness, things like that. I mean, the stress that people endure in this industry has an effect on the body. And so I think it's really important for us to share our journeys of kind of stepping away for a period of time, doing the healing work, and what kind of reflections that and perspectives that gives us, so that people can hear who are in it that something else is possible, like that you're not going to have to live this way forever. So that's what I thought it would be great to talk about today. And to start us off, there's a dear friend that we received that I think goes directly to this point. This is from somebody who has been out of the industry for a little while, and this is a little long, but I think it's all relevant, and so I think it would be a great way for us to kick off this conversation. So I'll get us started with that. This dear friend says, I am not even sure where to start about my experiences in eDiscovery. I think a novel could be written about the toxic culture. However, here's my quick attempt to share my top worst experiences. Apologies for the foul language. No need to apologize for that. Number one, reviewing and replying to emails on the day of my mother's funeral.
Whoa.
I mean,
Whoa.
yeah, that's definitely number one. That's awful. Number two, not attending a wedding of my partner's family member because of, quote, emergency weekend work. And number three, receiving a phone call at 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning with the expectations that I would actually be available. I mean, I haven't gotten a 3 a.m. call, but I have gotten an 11 p.m. call that for some stupid reason I actually accepted, like a dum-dum, because that's how far gone I was. I will say that. Okay, so this person continues. Now that I've been out of the e-discovery industry for 4 years, I look back and think about how, as a PM, I always try to get my clients to teach them lessons. For example, those 5 p.m. on a Friday, need this for the weekend PDF polls. I would purposely make the secure mail password expire before Monday morning. Always amazed me how often on Monday morning I would get an email saying, I just tried to download this and the password is expired. As I would read that on the subway, I would say to myself, yes, jackass, I just proved this wasn't a ruin my Friday night plan request, but you did it, so I get to embarrass you. Or better yet, the email with the red exclamation point that said, why did you produce this document? It's marked X. After my panic attack, I'd go and pull the history report and copy paste it into the email to show them that they just fucking marked it that way, and then show the email they specifically said to produce it. A good PM always keeps every email so they can throw it back in clients' faces.
Whew. Oh, 100.
Whew. Man, I had to do that to protect myself, especially when your own fucking company won't believe you or throw you under the bus. This doesn't happen outside of eDiscovery. 4 years out, and I still get angry thinking about the industry. But on the bright side, I no longer need to take SSRIs or drink to deal with work. I also do not randomly wake up at 2 a.m. to recheck my production searches or to make sure the overnight ops team was working on it. Oh my God. That's real. I shower each day before I log into work. I do not eat any of my meals in front of the computer, and I don't need to worry about canceling weekend plans. In other words, I lead a normal life, which is why I will never, never go back to eDiscovery. I'd rather live in a cardboard box down by the river.
Who's that sound like?
You? That sounds like you.
Yep. I've pretty much said that before.
Yeah. And then this person just finishes with, I realize this is probably just a random stream of consciousness. Sorry about that. Meh.
It's not.
But you all are doing great things exposing the industry for what it is. Fight on. So, Renee, what's your reaction to that?
I had to take notes so I
Okay.
could have a reaction to
Yeah, catch it all. I mean, there's a lot. There's some gold nuggets in there.
that. Uh, First of all, wow, right? Like just let's just acknowledge the pain that not only did the person have the courage to say all that, albeit anonymously, she had to relive it, or whomever had to relive it to give this story to us. And the details are so, yeah, it's so graphic. You can tell that they're reliving it and probably felt away after hitting send on that email, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I feel is sad, because so many companies built their wealth and their success on the backs of PMs like this dear friend and didn't care that they were suffering. And I'm not saying that like they didn't listen to people complain and maybe like offer, a gym membership in as some part of their benefits package, thinking that that was a thing, or offer some ERG and think that that's enough, that's all they have to do. Um, what that person described was poor support, poor organizational support, poor organizational, um, poor operational organization. 100%, like it's just that's just poorly run department. And I believe that because so often in eDiscovery, the project management team is the team that has the least amount of respect and the least amount of care, even though they have the most uh, interaction with the end client. So if you care that the client goes into a workspace and can't load a document in 5 seconds or 20 seconds, and you work really, really hard to fix the technology so that that experience is better. Here we are again. Why aren't you taking steps as an organization so that someone can attend a funeral, go to a wedding of their friend, not feel like they have to pick up a 3 a.m. call or feel guilty for sleeping at 3 a.m. Like what? That people feel like they can't shower, that that the PTSD of looking at their phone several years later is still a thing. Like we're all experienced that. It's just sad. Um, and what it also is avoidable because I'm here to tell y'all it don't have to be that way. Um, I am confident it doesn't have to be that way because we have all lived a different experience, like for a short period of time. And in my own healing journey, I've, had an opportunity or two to build an environment where that is not the case. And so I say to her former or to their former employer, shame on you for creating an environment that makes people hate this industry and never want to go back to it. I bet you that person was a damn good PM too. And now the industry has lost one of the greats because they just don't trust that they'll be supported. That is the saddest thing. It is the saddest thing. This industry helps people earn a living that is, it's like a really good living so that they can support their families and their loved ones, themselves, be able to afford, nice things if that's what they want, give it away, whatever they want to do with their money. But it's a good living. Monetary wise, it's not a good living if you give up your soul and your mental health and your physical health. And all of that is just, it's frankly just avoidable. So if you're a CEO out there, you're not paying attention to your people, do better.
I was thinking about that this morning, Renee. I mean, you made a lot of really great points there, but just that last point that you made, I was thinking about that literally this morning about what kind of lifestyle I can live being outside of the industry and what kind of lifestyle I was able to live while I was in the industry. And all of this is fluid, right? This is a snapshot of now. It wasn't always this way. It's likely to change, etc. But I was thinking about that, like the difference in the amount of money that I make now versus before when I was in the industry, and the earning potential that was available to me in the industry. And I thought, but yes, like could my bank account look different, right? Could I have a nicer car, could I have nicer things? Yes, but for me, there was a cost associated with that, and that was not worth I that's not worth it to me. For me, that's not true for everybody. Some people, the money is the most important thing for whatever reason. That is what is true for them, and so they will do whatever it takes to earn whatever amount of money they want to earn in order to feel that they have become successful, or whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, right? Where they judge money and how much money they make as sort of the standard. um, that just isn't true for me. And so there got to be a point where I really came to this realization that the cost I was paying physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all the things like within my relationships was not worth the salary I was getting back. And you're right, it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, because the truth of the matter is not everybody's situation is the same. And I can't judge someone for sticking it out. We all know people in this industry who have children with learning disabilities, sick kids, sick family members that they're taking care of. Um, I know a few project managers who are putting their siblings through college, paying the mortgage because their parents can't work for illness or any other reason. Like, there's a lot of life happening.
Mm-hmm.
And companies who take advantage of that, like, shame on y'all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in 2024, about to be 2025, it's impossible for them not to know it. There's just
Right.
too much content out there
Right.
shoving in our faces that people are suffering and that, there's something that needs to be done about putting the mental health and the physical health of folks ahead of, I don't want to say profit because that's just too simple. It's just it's putting work in its own perspective, in the right perspective. I've never had any trouble motivating people to work. I haven't. As a leader, I have not had any trouble getting work done. Um, what I've had to face was people with different perspective saying it's not being done fast enough. Um, and or how could this mistake happen in technology? Like, be serious, right?
Right.
It's not up to the project manager to not make the mistake or do it faster. It's up to the leadership to build a structure and a process such that work is done efficiently and with less risk to error. That's my job. So to put all that pressure on people who are already client facing, who are already dealing with different kinds of personalities and stress, it's just foul, right? But that's where it sits. Folks up here are really trying to deal with people down here. And that was the case for a really long time. I'm happy to report there's people out there that are different. And so if you're out there right now and you need to start some healing, go find you a better place to work because they're out there. I'm out here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go find
Yep.
you a better place to work. We're the industry is not helpless. it may feel that way, but it's not. And all the folks who shame you for, you know, stopping to make your child dinner or having to take a two hours at 5 o'clock to drive to your elder parents' home to make sure that they're taken care of and fed and then come back to go to work. Anyone who shames you for being away from your desk for those 2 hours doesn't deserve to have you work for them.
Amen.
Good. What do you think,
What do you
Becky?
yeah, Becky.
Yeah. I don't know who you are, friend, but we are kindred souls. Um, I mean, this is the thing. Like, I wish that I could still bring myself to like pursue a career in e-discovery. I think that even though like myself, like I wasn't perfect. I was a senior PM, but I had, I definitely had my talents and I still had things I wanted to grow and learn. Um, but I think it got to a point where I finally awakened to the fact that like the more you go, like the higher you go, the more you're getting paid, the bigger the microscope you're under. And we need to justify this salary. And like for me, my last straw was we're going to give you this account that somebody else has totally fucked up. And oh, by the way, they're all on the West Coast and I'm in Eastern Standard Time. And oh, by the way, they're in a whole new system. So you're going to have to learn that system. And this is going to happen next week. And my reaction was, the fuck it is. I quit. I mean, that really was like my reaction. And I feel some type of way towards the person that I had this exchange with because I actually really respected and had a good relationship with him. But the company itself was forcing that. And so I felt like, okay, this is it, Becky. Like, you're either going to die doing this or you're going to leave and try to get better. And because my health was already, I was already experiencing like health problems and all of those things that were caused by stress. Um, but I just want to say, like, to this person, like, you should have never been put through that. You should have never been treated that way. As someone who, Jill and I lost our mom at a young age, but it's made us who we are. And part of that is like understanding the grief process very extensively. And for someone to put you in a situation where you had to choose between, was it between your mother's funeral and work
Reviewing and
or
replying to emails on the day of my mother's funeral. And then the second one was not attending a wedding of my partner's family member because of emergency, quote
yeah,
unquote, emergency weekend work, which is always bullshit.
no
100%.
one, yeah, no one should be put through this. And my response to that type of thing is, gee, I didn't realize that I went to medical school and I'm an emergency doctor here. Like,
Right.
please be real about what actual things are urgent in this day and age. And, you know, um, yeah, like Renee said, to me, that's just clear organizational leadership failure. Like, none of these things that happened to these people that we're hearing from are their fault. This is leadership that absolutely sucks. And I know at the same time that they're under pressure as well. And so the root cause of all of this are the people who are investing in these companies, if we want to be real about it. But for this person, I would like to say congratulations on getting out. And I would like to suggest that, they speak on that to people that they know are still in the industry because I feel like there is this common theme around people who are in this industry that they believe that their skills are not transferable. Um, that's bullshit. I know that for sure. I know that you can go out and find other things and you'll be looked at and sought after. Now, the money, yes, is going to be different. I have been lately looking for something for myself, like a contract or, some type of flexible, stream of income or whatever, but it's taken me out to looking at job postings, and I have been absolutely shocked at how little salaries have increased in since I entered the legal field in 20 or yeah 2006. Like some jobs are paying even less than they were, and others are literally paying the same. And it's like, what happened? So eDiscovery is absolutely a great career path. It can bring you a lot of money. And, it did a lot for me. Like I was able to, pay off a lot of things. I was able to get in a better financial situation. However, at the end of the day, the cost to my body, to my mental health, to my relationships, was just too high. And so for me, I had to decide, can I can I figure out some other way to survive? That does not mean locking myself in with a company that I know doesn't actually care about me. Like at the end of the day, they don't care. People the thing Another thing that I have noticed, especially with the collective like societal conversations we're having right now as goes to like healthcare and CEOs and leadership and things like that, is that like people are waking up, and they're starting to see that like collectively, if we all were to like get more aligned with each other and talk about these things, bringing things out into daylight so that we can sort of figure out like what direction do we want things to go. Because those people at the top, they're going to do what they're going to do, and once they get to a certain amount of money that they make, they literally do not understand the struggle anymore. Like they actually like, I've had some conversations with people who have looked me in the face and basically like had this idea that like 45 to $50,000 is enough to survive on in 2024. And I've had to tell them to their face, that's not enough money for anyone. Like that's not enough. So I feel like people get to a certain level of their income or their life and their career, and they forget what it's like for everyone else. But everyone else is waking up to the idea that collectively, if we come together and we suggest changes, and in fact we demand changes, that collectively we can push the culture forward. So, my biggest hope is that people who are in these PM roles start to talk to each other and organize a little bit and think about where can we push the company to do better? Like that person, that group, like totally seems like if it's a company that's still out there operating as is, they need like an evening and weekend team. Like where's the overflow support? So how can you collectively go to your leadership and be like, you need to hire somebody, and we know you have the budget for it because you guys made X amount of profits last year. So we know you can afford to have somebody sit there in the evenings or on the weekend, and at the very least send the placeholder emails and decide how long something is going to, have to sit. Like there's solutions to these problems, but people are going to have to push these companies to actually take action and make things better. Because right now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see it happening. What I'm seeing out there beyond eDiscovery is people are having to go on strike and unionize and do things like that to push a company to do the right thing. And so I say that, and I know eDiscovery is a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we're all the worker bees, and we have more power together than we do standing by ourselves. So that's sort of my takeaway from it.
I think that's a this is a great time to plug that starting in January 2025, we're gathering a group of people. We've already gotten several people who want to be part of a community that is different, that is an e-discovery community, but it's not like the industry communities that already exist, if you can even call them that. I don't know that they are communities. Which is Becky's, you make that point all the time. It's not a community, it's a like network.
Yep.
And one of the things, we've been kind of pulling people who have been signing up, that people do want is to organize and take collective action. That may mean unionizing, it may not. It may mean something completely different. But the point is that, we are in a really unique position to be able to support a community or a group of people, however small or big that is, whatever number, that they can, in a space where they can come together, and they can organize together and talk to each other and share information and even take collective action together in their own organizations, without the threat of, am I going to say something wrong and get fired? Right. I mean, I think we all kind of know, especially around unions, like of the idea of union busting and those kinds of things. So like, that's not something that anybody has to worry about in a community with us. And so I would say to people, like, if you really do feel like you want something different, that you agree with us that it doesn't have to be this way, then come join us and join the people who think the same way that you do. And like, let's see, maybe we can drive change together. So we'll put a link in the show notes, and if you go and find me on LinkedIn, I'm publicizing this right now, and then we're going to meet sometime in January 2025 for our first meetup, and kind of see like what do the people who want to be in community with us around these issues, what kind of community do they want? Because it really isn't about us, it really is about them. And so yeah, that's a great plug. um I would love to, like, let's transition a little bit. I really appreciate this dear friend story because I think it's really resonant for me as well.
Yeah.
And I like the idea, or whatever. I, I think the thing that's interesting for me is that this person has been out for 4 years. I've been out for 5 years. Um, Going on 6 years. I've been out for 5.5 years. And so the perspective you get having been out for that long, like, the situation gets more and more ridiculous. Like, you almost, like, as far out as you get, you look back like, what is everybody doing? But what I remember was, when I was in it, I didn't see another way. I couldn't see another way. So part of, I think, the importance of having this conversation and the things that we talk about is to show people that you might not be able to see another way. And we hear that from people a lot. They can't see another way. But another way does exist. Many ways exist. There are infinite ways. And so we are sort of, I think, living examples, including this dear friend, of that change is possible, and that you can find health and well-being and feel good in your body again, that you can work in a job that doesn't take everything from you, that doesn't put you in this constant fight or flight mode, that doesn't put you in a position where you feel like you got to get your clients, like really stick it to them. Like, that's not healthy. That's not, I understand why people feel that way. I totally can see it. I totally get it. And it's
Oh,
also
yeah. And
unhealthy.
also, I've totally done that, friend. And
Yeah.
it's so satisfying when they accuse you of producing something that shouldn't have been. And you can be like, here's the email, like
Right.
2 minutes later, where you told me to fuck off and just produce it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So,
satisfying, but at the same time, like you see, it's more about, for me, it's more about like, damn, it don't have to be this way. Like,
Right.
if this be a partnership,
Yes.
mhm.
and we don't ever get to the point where people feel like they need to defend their work and defend themselves. They're defending themselves. they're not just defending their work to the client, they're defending their work to their own organizations that don't support them. That is the problem.
Right.
And the client who has no perspective because the relationship that they're in is basically a stranger. You know what I mean? Like if the business supports more of and frankly demands more of like an equal footing, a positive relationship where equal people are bringing an equal amount of expertise to the table. That's where I think the healing can begin. I'll just stop there because I think Jill's about to put us on the healing journey.
Oh yes, let's talk about healing. So I really would love to hear from each of you, and I can share too. When you started on your healing journey, I mean, each of us kind of arrived there in different ways. But when you sort of realized you had this period of time and that there was shit that need to be healed, that whether it be your body, your emotional state, whatever it was, that you were in kind of an unhealthy situation and you wanted to get better, you wanted to feel better. What was the like main thing that you focused on, or if you can choose like one like top priority that you focused on to sort of navigate the healing journey? And what was, now reflecting backwards from where you are now to, where you started, what is like the biggest lesson learned as of today?
I can start.
Yeah, please do.
Um, so I had a crying fit problem.
Mm,
uh, for about a year, I woke up every day crying.
mm,
And medication didn't help. Um, and I'm sure, like, God bless my poor husband. Um, and when I was snatched out of the situation that I was in that was causing the crying, I focused on what was making me cry. Um, and all of the things I thought it was, the abuse that I was taking, all of the gaslighting, um, was part of it. But what I realized was, damn, I let them do this to me, right? I wasn't in prison. I wasn't behind, bars where someone was dictating exactly every move I needed to make, right? I was free-ish, but I didn't feel like I had a choice. I made the decision to allow those people to abuse me for years. And then I had to forgive myself for that. Um, and that took some time. Um, coming out of you all know my personal past, and I won't go into it here, but I likened it to a personal situation I was in, 10 years ago, where I didn't feel like I had a way out. And then, it ended. And I was, after I went through some therapy, I realized, what I struggled with the most was how do I forgive myself for allowing myself to sit through that for so long. Um, and I had the same realization in this last sort of healing journey back towards e-discovery, if you will. Um, so I focused on myself to get there. I started putting myself first, which is hard for me, as you all know. Um, and I can't tell you how many people, including you two, kept saying, you need to be more selfish. And look at them. You see them all nodding, y'all? I mean,
mhm.
I hear you.
Did
Um,
say it many times.
um, and that too didn't sit right with me, right? Because I don't think I mean, my body doesn't do that, right? But I did think I can't help anybody if I'm jacked up. So I started focusing on me. I'm not going to tell you I went like running every day and in the gym and that wasn't what I needed. I needed some flipping rest. So I slept a lot. I mean, and I refused to feel guilty about it, right? I must have slept for about a month. Like I barely left my bedroom for about a month, and the tears came, and I had some moments where it was just like all out weeping. Every time I thought about how I got there again and the guilt, how did I let them do this to me? How did I let them do this to me? How did I let them do this to me? Um, and then eventually it was, you know what? I survived it. I went through it and I came out the other side. And then the tears stopped. And then I stopped taking medication. And then I thought, okay, well, sure, my doctor's not happy that I stopped taking this medication cold turkey, but I don't need it anymore, right? And then I was like, I can just rely on my faith and my support system and myself to get through every day. And I don't have to get validation from people who don't even like me, right? Because when you treat people like they don't mean anything, then you don't really like those people, no matter what you say to their face. Your actions show that they're not really worthy. So I focus on myself. I listened to my body. I slept when I needed to sleep. And when I felt like I had more energy to do more things, I did. And when I didn't feel like it, I didn't. Um, and I believe is God, but we talked a little bit about the fact that I applied to like 100 something jobs and not one interview in 5 months. And it wasn't until I believe the universe, I'm gonna say my God, but whatever you believe in, that all stars were aligned where, okay, I think I could put you back out there now. And then boom, what I believe was the right situation just sort of came my way. And I was cautious, but I wasn't afraid. And even when I said yes to the thing, I was like, wow, like no fireworks, just okay, I accept it. And I think that in and of itself is a healing moment for me because I'm keeping it in perspective. And now all I want to do is help other people do the same thing, right? So anyway, I'll stop talking because I feel like I'm babbling now, but it feels good, y'all, on this side of it. I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm working in eDiscovery again, and I'm okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that man, I actually had this conversation over text earlier today with one of our dear friends who's still in eDiscovery, and I I specifically talked about how divine timing works in our lives, and uh, how sometimes you can be trying to like push and push and push for something, and it just doesn't. It's like you're just not getting any bites or whatever, and then when you actually start to focus on yourself and just like what you're trying to do, and you kind of release the expectations and you release the pressure a little bit, you see how things just have a tendency to work out, you know, at the best possible timing. So, and believing in that takes work. It takes work. Um, my healing journey was both a physical, mental, uh, emotional, and spiritual, like sort of process for me. I think, I actually started to experience a lot of physical health issues um, that were really impacting my ability to enjoy my life. Um, you know, Aside from all the hours that you work in e-discovery, like all of the sitting and the constantly being on, you don't, those are things that if you don't pay attention, you don't realize how bad they impact you. For me, I ended up with extreme back problems, which have resolved themselves since then. You know, so for like my healing journey is like when I I started it while I was still in there. So this is why, like I think it's important for people to know like this isn't just something that we were able to do when we got out. Like this is something that, you can start the process now. Creating, some boundaries, giving yourself like the breaks that you need, listening to your body when you're ready to go to bed and put your phone in your office or away from the bed. Um, I also received late night phone calls, but they would always get declined. Like, send an email. Someone will respond to you if it's that important. Because coming up in my legal career in the public sector, like that's unheard of. Like nobody's even calling you past like 5 o'clock, like for reals. So if you guys can get into government, that's another avenue to take a look at. Um, but like for me, it was really about my body. So creating boundaries, going actually and doing the physical therapy appointments that I was supposed to do. I don't know how many people I had worked with in eDiscovery that, would end up in physical therapy, but they would consistently miss their appointments because they were busy. Um, so like following through, doing the doctor's appointments, actually, prioritizing yourself. It's really hard. It's especially hard if you're the type of person who tends to like take care of other people or lead the entire team or, things like that. But I'm telling you, like that whole like idea of putting your mask on first so that you're able to help others, it's so true. So, I started doing a lot of those things before I even left. And then when I left, I have made it a point to find contracts or, work environments where I do not have to work consistently every single week, over 40 hours a week. Um, Most of the time, my goal is to work less than 30, 35. And I find that that gives me time for myself and gives me rest. And the funny thing about that is that, like, when you rest and you actually give yourself time, where you're not pushing through and trying to be productive, you actually give yourself the ability to tap into more energy. And so, what I found in myself is that if I worked less hours in a week, I would literally show up and be way more productive, because I would have the energy, I'd have my imagination, like I'd be thinking about things. And I also, worked really hard over the last couple of years to like really learn how I'm feeling. I think for most people in corporate America, you're very disconnected from your body. And like, you just don't think about it. Like, how do I feel today? Actually feel good, or I feel like a little bit of pain in my back, maybe I should do like some stretching. Like just taking moments like that, you can do that while you're still in it. But like for me, the healing journey, it included, spiritual coaching, like talking to like spiritual teachers that I have, for my mental health, like doing a lot of like self-reflection and exploration, really helped me process some of the things that have happened. Journaling helped a lot. I highly recommend therapy. But like really choosing to put yourself first in a society that is always telling us that we should come last. Like it's not an easy choice. It's necessary though. It's really necessary because I think, going back to like the fact that we lost our mom at a young age, I think that taught us like just how life can be so fleeting. I mean, she was 31 years old. I mean, I can't even imagine that. And it's like, oh my God, here I am, like in my mid 40s, and I'm like, I don't want life to pass me by and not have done some of the things that I want to do. I don't want to like exit this earth and not have done any rough self-reflection and thought about like what are some of the things I would love to do or see or be before I leave this earth. Like having time to actually like explore those ideas and those thoughts was actually extremely healing for me. And now I feel like the path is not super clear for me. Like I personally wouldn't I would not be opposed to going back to eDiscovery if it was for the right leader, the right situation, the right type of job. But I would never, ever, like our dear friend, go back to a situation where I know it's just going to be the same thing. Like it would have to be something really special to get me back in. Otherwise, I'm going to choose to find some job that's going to allow me the time to put myself first and my health first and my family first. So that's sort of my journey. You know, those are some of the high level tools that have helped me. But it's still, I'm still healing. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
still healing.
Yeah, me too. Um, I mean, I think since you kind of brought it up, I'll just share, I think from the time I started in e-discovery, I was planning to get out. I was never planning to stay forever. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I went to law school to have a career in helping people. And you could say discovery helped some people, but it wasn't the people I wanted to help for sure. Definitely was not. Um, so I always had my eye on I'm gonna leave eventually. And then when I made the transition into onto the vendor side from the law firm side, um, I recognized that like that was not going to be a long it couldn't be long for me because it was just so hard. It was just really it was a struggle. And so I had in my mind, I was working towards this. And I think the thing I want to share about this, about getting to a place where you can actually prioritize yourself and, take time away and find some semblance of well being. For some of us, it takes years of preparation, right? Depending on how much money you're making, what your standard of living is, what kind of expenses you have, all of these things it took for me some sacrifice. I moved states, right? I moved houses multiple times. Like we didn't go on vacation. We sacrificed so that I could be in a position financially that I could walk away and like then figure something out because I didn't know what that something would be. So for some people, like it's a snap of the fingers and they're like, I'm out. For some people, they are pushed out. And for other people, it's a much longer process, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. So by the time I figured out that, like, okay, I know in a year and a half, I'm going to be able to walk away. It really was started going downhill. I mean, it was really, really, the last year was really hard. And it was hard on me physically, it was hard on me mentally and emotionally. And then on top of it, I was nearing the time, it was right around the time that my son was 4, which is the same age that I was when my mom passed away, as Becky shared. And I started having reoccurring nightmares that I left him someplace. And the only thing I could think of, and I remember my dreams, but like having a reoccurring dream had never happened to me before. And so I paid attention to that. And it was just processing and whatever. But what I came to understand later was that was like there was a waking up process for me. It was like the way I intellectualized it was I'm gonna like I lost my mom at 4. If I were to die young, and he lost me, he wouldn't even know me. All he knows is I work. He doesn't know anything about me, right? We don't spend time together. I'm so busy with work that I don't have time to be really present in this relationship. And then that processed in my dreams, like at night, which was somewhat unpleasant. And so that was sort of the time where it really started to feel urgent for me to walk away. And so I stuck it out, got to my goal, wherever I wanted to be in order to do it, and I left. And I think, like Renee, you said, like I've been sleeping for, I think I just recently started to change this. Like, I don't need as much sleep as I used to. I would nap like every day for like 2 or 3 hours a day, in addition to getting, 10 hours of sleep.
Mhm.
I slept for like 2 or 3 years, basically, is what it felt like. I still take naps, but they're like 20 minutes and I'm good. It's not the same as it was. So that indicates to me that I've like kind of gotten past maybe that place in my life where I really needed to sleep in order to recover. And at the same time, I really focused on, I think if I had to choose one thing that I really, really focused on, it was listening to my body about what I wanted to do and prioritizing that. So, I that could be something as simple as like, what did I want to have for breakfast? If I wanted to have pancakes, then I made myself pancakes. If my body was like, you need a nap, I stopped what I was doing. I went and lay down and took a nap. So I got into this habit of really paying attention to what I felt I needed, and then actually honoring that and doing that. And I think, if I reflect back now from where I am now, reflecting backwards on the healing journey, I think that was probably the most powerful thing that I could do. Um, because when you start listening to yourself, you start learning to trust that actually what is best for you is going to be best for the people around you too. And I think it does directly go against what we're taught, which is we should sacrifice ourselves for everyone else and everything else, and for the job and for the clients and for even for family, right? Because even people who are doing this job, they turn around and then they're making dinner and they're cleaning the house and they're doing all the things, right? But when are they doing things for themselves? They're not. They just aren't. And so I it really helped me to change my mindset around the importance of prioritizing myself. And I don't view it as selfish. I think that actually it is probably a more selfless thing that I can do, even though it seems on the surface that it's selfish, but it really is about how can I be the healthiest, most expansive version of myself so that I can be as impactful to the people who I'm connected to. That's what's important to me now. So, it has not been easy, but I would not I'm kind of like the dear friend too. It's like I would have to be super desperate. Like I'd have to like be past the point of asking my dad for money before I would go back into a full-time eDiscovery PMing job. Um I think another thing I learned is 40 hours a week is a scam.
Mm.
I just don't agree with that. I just think it's made up, and it's unhealthy for people. Maybe some people can do 40 hours a week. I think people will probably think I'm nuts for saying this, but this is what happens when you spend 5 years healing yourself, changing the way you perceive things, changing how you understand the world around you and what's really happening, and have a different experience. Then you can look and be like, what is this? Like, this isn't good for anybody. Who's this good for? Who is this working for? I mean, we've been dialing back the hours for a number of years. And even now, you see that there's conversations, there's pilot projects about, 4 days a week, right? 32 hours at full pay, that kind of thing. So this is, again, I listen, this is the direction it's going. This is what I always say. Like, we know where this is headed. And so, yeah, like 40 hours a week is not really my jam. And I don't really think it should be anybody's jam because it is not 40 hours a week. It's much more than that. If you count all the time you've spent mentally thinking about it, even just like being connected in that way, it's much more than that. It becomes your whole life. And it's not supposed to be our whole life. It is a thing that we do, but it is not who we are. So yeah, I mean, my healing journey is ongoing. I I don't I mean, I feel like I've processed a lot of the things that have happened to me, and I'm sure I will have new opportunities to continue processing those things because that's how it works. That's how healing works, right? Like you make a little bit of progress, and then some sort of situation happens to you that is reminiscent of the thing that you used to go through or whatever, and you get a chance to interact with it in a different way or to understand it differently or even to notice that it's similar, right? And make a different choice if you want to. So healing is not something that I think ends, but it is possible to feel good in your body, to feel healthy, to get off medications, to get off things that you're coping with, whatever those things might be, and have a more authentic experience of life. Like authentic in the sense of like being a human being and what we're here to experience as human beings. So that's what I would
Amen.
share.
Amen, Jill. When you were talking just then, I was thinking to myself that there's like two things that people may consider, right? One, yes, we're always healing, but now let's think about the tools that, you may not have realized were at your disposal that you can lean on when you're feeling away, trust your body and then do something for yourself that feels good in that moment, and that's personal to you. But as any discovery as leaders, um, like that needs to be a priority for your organizations that gives people the um, the support. I was about to say the freedom too, but it's not the freedom. It's the support that they need. The, you know, like unencumbered support, not like, well, I guess you can do it, but I don't know who, as long as somebody else covers for you, right?
Right.
It's not their responsibility. Like build an environment so that somebody can walk away and do what they got to do, right? If I recall someone having a family member get suddenly ill and they needed to step away, and folks were vexed. Like, well, who's covering for them? Did they figure that out? Did they send them out? Like, are you serious? They had to get up and leave, right? It's not, they need to be able to do that. So organizations in our industry should be always thinking about how to make projects so transparent so that any one of these people that work for you can get up and do what they got to do for themselves anytime they have to. Their parents can get sick at any moment, their kid can get sick at any moment, they themselves can get sick at any moment. And the business shouldn't suffer for that. Sure, the clients still need to get their stuff done, absolutely. But it is not a single-threaded responsibility for any one project manager. And that's what needs to change, that structure. So I think about that, right? And I think about some of the stuff we implemented as a team when we were all working together, at least when Becky and I were working together. Joe, I think you've been out like by the time somebody made me a director, you were gone.
I was gone.
Yeah.
She was
Like, you're on
napping.
your own.
She was
I'm out of
napping.
here.
You
And I
know
was
what?
asleep. I
Awesome.
slept through it.
No, that's awesome. Um, yeah. Uh, tea time, right?
Mm.
Put schedule breaks on everybody's calendar on purpose to force people to take a break. Um, I know one person sitting here in red was like, "I'm gonna go to the gym, but I'll have my phone." And what was my response? Don't take your phone.
Don't
It's
take
your
your
time.
phone. Yeah.
It's your time. That's your time. Because the whole point is start getting in the mindset that when you're on your time, be on your time, be present. Because the people that love you, you have absolutely no idea how long you're going to be on earth to be with
Hmm.
them. So when you're in any kind of moment, be in that moment. If when you're split focus and you're trying to work and take care of your kid, you're actually just working then, right? Because your kid is not going to remember that you were with them. Their kid is going to remember you were staring at a screen. So it's important that your life is prioritized. So that's one aspect. Then the other thing is, I hope to God that there's a client out there watching this podcast because I'm speaking directly to y'all right now. Hire people who take care of their people, please. Just do that, please, because this industry will not change if clients keep going back to the organizations that crap all over their people. If you're really just interested in getting the cheapest service, I promise you, you get what you pay for. There's a whole bunch of us out here running teams that take care of our people. People have slept. They know that that they'll be more focused at work. Like Becky was saying, when 11 o'clock, she tired, she's sleeping, and when she gets up the next day, that means that when you ask her a difficult question, her creative juices are going to be flowing such that she can give you a really good, consultative answer, not just the canned, when people complain that like I'm not getting great consultation. Yeah, probably because you're talking to a project manager that doesn't sleep.
Hmm.
So when you buck up on an organization that maybe charges you a little bit more, but tells you that like we take care of our people. We have folks around the clock. And so no, you can't get one project manager. They're going to work as a team. That's not to piss you off. That is so that each person working together has their own time to have personal time away from the job. Everybody's not sitting around waiting for that email to come through. And the other lie that people don't are really not trying to tell you when you sign on the dotted line with salespeople who are like legit not doing the work. Um, you're paying for like a quarter of somebody's time, not even, right? And you have absolutely no confidence that when you ask for a thing, someone's going to be sitting right there waiting to accept your thing. So the other mindset to consider is we're in a partnership, right? So let's get together and talk about what we need. If you truly treat your service provider support as someone who is your expert in e-discovery and not someone to boss around. And I know that that's not every client's experience. I've worked with some really wonderful clients. I've also worked with some really wonderful salespeople. Um, but they're few and far between. The industry is saturated with people who really just don't care, right? So if you see your project manager getting burned out and you have, it's so evident to you. I can't tell you how many times, as a leader, I've had people, has so and so, gotten rest. I think they need a vacation. Why are you continuing to give that company business?
Hmm.
Boycott. Right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
The people who are actually taking care of people. I am one of those people. Please give me your work. Because not only will we take care of your work, we take care of our people. And because we take care of our people, I know they'll take care of your work. Just start doing that. It'll push the industry in a direction, right? We all know that you know, money is power, right? When something is in injustice in the world and people have boycotted in our history, it has turned the thing around, not necessarily because people had a change of heart, but because somebody's money was getting funny.
Yep.
So when we fool with people's money, they have to act. They may not want to, but they have to. The change is for the good. This is a greater good that we're all serving here. It's not
Hmm.
self-serving. We all just want to do right by people. So please, clients, hire people who are good to people, please.
Yeah.
Your project
Or
managers,
even ask. Just
just ask.
ask
Yeah.
or care.
Put that as part of your RFP. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What kind of system do you have for your staff? Is
Yeah.
it
How do
one
you take care
person?
of them?
If I need somebody at midnight, is that person expected to be online? Put that in your RFPs and see what kind of answers you get back, and then see if it's the truth. Hold these people accountable.
Hmm. Okay, ladies. Well, let's wrap this up. Um,
You done with us, Jill?
no, but you know how I am.
I
I'm like,
do.
we talk too much. We talk too much. There's just too much to talk about. There's just too much. You gotta shorten it. Shorten it up. Let's leave on a positive note. Um, what is in just like a couple of words, keep it short. I mean,
Mm.
I'm saying this to me, to be honest. I ramble with the best of them. What is one thing, if you had like one moment and could say just a couple of words to somebody who is really struggling with their well-being right now in e-discovery and is not necessarily, well, no, I'm not even gonna put any caveats on it. Someone right now who is really struggling with their well-being and e-discovery, um, with your perspective, from your healing journey, what would you tell them? Like, what is the one piece of advice you would give them?
Remember that they
Mm,
have the power to change it. They need your expertise, not the other way around. You have the power.
mm,
You break ticket.
yep. Becky, what about you?
Um, hmm, that's a tough one, Jill. I think I would probably start with when was the last time you took some time for yourself? Um, that's a big thing. And then how are you taking care of your body? Because if you're not going to have the energy to address what you're dealing with at work or to deal with your boss or to deal with, the client who's making your life miserable. Like if you don't have the energy or feel empowered enough to do that just yet, how can you take a first step by showing yourself some love and some care and some, cherishing? Like, how can you give yourself the things that you feel that are missing? And just take one step, one day at a time, one foot in front of the other.
I love that. That's great advice. I think along those lines, what I would say is start listening to your body. Start tuning into your body multiple times per day and as often as you can, as often as it feels safe for you to do so, because some of this is about safety and security. Listen and do the thing that your body is asking of you to do, whether that be getting up to use the restroom, whether that be taking a drive to the local coffee shop and grabbing yourself some coffee in the morning, something special instead of going right to work, whether that be eating when you're hungry, whatever it is, start a practice of tuning in to how your body is feeling, what it wants, what your desires are, and do those things as often as you can and as often as it feels safe to do so.
Yep, I love it.
Okay, ladies. Well, listen, I think all of us have kind of witnessed our journeys, our healing journeys. And I would say, we are in vastly different places than we were 5 years ago. We are in different places than we were. Becky, what's it been for you? 2, 3 years?
Almost 3 years. Yeah.
3 years, that's crazy. We are even in different places than we were 6 months ago.
Dude, it's completely.
Completely
Very
and
different place.
I'll just add like the one last piece of advice I would say is like, if you got to get out, do the thing that you need to do to get out. And if you're transitioning jobs, if you're like, okay, I can't take this place, but I can't quit forever, so I'm just going to get another job, build in at least 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say 6 is preferred, but I know that feels uncomfortable for people, especially in this job market. But if you can build in downtime, I highly recommend you take as much as you can. Please, please do not go from a job on Friday to a new job on Monday. Please don't do that.
Dude, it took
Yeah.
me a month just to stop crying. So yes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
body needs time to like transition and heal so that
Right.
you're like mentally prepared for the next
Yeah.
one.
Allow yourself to remember what normal life feels like.
Mhm.
Give
Hmm.
yourself that gift if you can.
Yeah. And process the emotions. One thing I always tell people is, treat your emotions like a tunnel or a portal and not a sinkhole. You know, if you're
That's good.
sad or you're feeling depressed or anxious or whatever, allow yourself to move through that. So, like to your point, Renee, cry if you feel like crying. Like if you feel that way, let it out. I'm telling you, like feeling the emotions, repressing them does nothing for you. Feeling them helps you move through them. And so then you can come out on the other side and start moving, towards something better, but your emotions are informing you. So even if you're like totally disconnected from your body, but if you're still waking up every day and crying, that is in of itself your body telling you this is a problem. There's a problem. It's time for you to process this, move through it like a tunnel or a portal. Do not allow yourself to fall in and sink, like a sinkhole.
Yeah.
So,
Don't, try not to listen to people tell you to toughen up.
yeah,
It's
no,
for their gain and not your own, right? Your body is going to tell you what you need. So listen to it.
right. You are the expert on you, period.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, ladies. Well, this was beautiful. I'm so glad that we're back together.
I love
I
y'all.
haven't I have an idea for our next one, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what it is.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for joining.
Love
Bye.
you, Grace. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of eDiscover-Tea. We hope today's conversation helped you feel seen, heard, and validated in the challenges you face in the workplace. You are not alone, and together we're building a community where we can share our struggles, lift each other up, and drive meaningful change. If this episode resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can join us for future episodes where we'll continue these important discussions. Whether we reach one person or thousands, our efforts here will be worth it. If you have stories to share or are in need of support and we can help, fill out the form linked in the show notes. We'd love to hear from you. On behalf of Jill, Renee, and myself, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.